We've taken to the road. We're on a mission to interview successful entrepreneurs. 90% of startups fail, and we want to help change those stats. Our final stop is our hometown, Dublin. We chat with Stephen about raising money at a young age and learning from your failures. We wanted to talk to you because you're on your second company because your first company failed, right? I just wanted to...
That still stings.
Bit the dust. You always think you could have done something different.
Yeah.
And like even today, I think about it and be like, Jesus, well, if we did that, that could have worked. Or if I was in the States, that could have worked. So you always...
So tell us why it failed.
Forget it. It's probably because I was too... Like, obviously a number of things, it always is.
What was it? For some people that don't know sort of context, what
first what it was, so WhatsApp was taken off massively at that stage, and everybody was starting to move away from Facebook to communicate with their friends on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And we're all in WhatsApp groups, probably, I'm sure all you guys are, and there's multiple people in them. And what was happening with me and my friends was we were trying to organise going for a pint, playing a game of footy.
It's a nightmare.
Going to the cinema, and it was just disappearing through the WhatsApp feed. So we came up with something kind of very simple, and it was like, well, how about we kind of make the activity the focal point, and we plug into their phone book. So what we did was, the activity is the focal point. You could add the location, where you're going, plugged into Google Maps, and you'd be able to send it out to your friends. And the whole point about it was you didn't have to have the app to make it work.
Okay.
So what we did is, I actually don't know if it was fully legal, so I'm not sure if I should
say it.
should be saying it. Yeah, so we I think we were using Twilio. And we were able to change the sender ID from the app. So you're able to select anybody in your phone book, even if they were on the app or not. And people who were on the app would get the push notification, and people who weren't would get a text, and they'd be pushed to download the app. So our virality off the back kind of kicked off pretty quickly. But we just weren't getting enough traction. Problem was, a few things we raised, I think 150 grand. I was 23. I didn't expect it. I had a pitch deck, and within 2 weeks I had a company, and kind of got started from there.
A lot of money to get your hands on straight away.
It was. Well, my background, I worked in a dev house for a number of years. So I kind of knew how to build apps. I project managed building apps before, so it wasn't, I suppose, too much of a task. But we launched, and when we launched, we kind of get into it, and like we were looking at our data every week. So what's increasing user interaction, what are our user funnels like, and we'd make progress like on a weekly basis. Or every release we launched, we increase engagement, and we'd maintain more users. But what happened was, when you raised that type of money for what is in essence a mini social network, there's actually another component to it that I didn't explain. But anyway, it just wasn't enough cash. So you had this money clock that was kind of running out, and we were spending, I think at the time, 8k a month on dev. We were outsourcing to Poland, so we didn't have long at all. So we got to the stage where we kind of realised we got up to 25,000 users in Dublin.
It's a lot, and it's a lot.
Pretty
It's a
good.
small geo.
It's pretty good, in around 6 months. And how we did it was we did an ambassador. I looked at Yik Yak in the UK, and I thought their ambassador thing was, that's pretty cool. Let's give that a go. So we did that, and that kind of helped us get to X amount of users. But anyway, we essentially started running out of cash.
So is that the main reason that you guys...
Ran out of cash, and the second one was, like we'd look at our data, but I didn't know enough, not from the actual app perspective. I was so immature from a business perspective, from a finance perspective, and business strategy perspective. And it just completely let me down.
Go on.
Did you find, because we talked a lot on this trip about investors and what they're like, and smart money, and people who just leave you to it, the people that put money in, were they not seasoned entrepreneurs that you could go to and say, my strength is dev, my strength is I've got 25,000 users, people are engaging more every time, I need help with finance, I need help with this and that. Is that not something you could go to that investor?
It's funny because they completely were. So some of those investors are investors in the new company today. And there's a big story behind that also. But they were. But I was so immature, and I was young, and I suppose I hadn't developed the maturity as the CEO at that point in time. And I was probably a little bit cocky at that point. I'm 23. This is brilliant. I know what I'm doing. And that probably let me down a good bit.
With raising 150,000, right? Because I always find this funny. A lot of people raise money, and outsiders will think, holy shit, you raised a lot of money, you're fine, what's the problem? Do you think when it came to the running out of money that you either A, didn't raise enough, or that you were spending it wrongly?
It's a tough question. I suppose we definitely didn't raise enough for what it was.
Okay.
And I don't think that's anybody's fault. I think we spent it, we spent the best we could. There was 2 employees.
And you outsourced where you can. And
outsourced our dev. We had an inside developer that did our web end, so did the bulk of our back end.
Where did the majority of the money go?
Went to outsource dev.
Okay.
So I was on 30 grand a year. I was taking it some months, I wasn't taking it other months. And then obviously paying our inside dev, and then we were spending the rest on outsourcing it. So like the reality is, when we took in that 150 grand, you were looking at 12 months max headway.
Okay.
From day one.
Yeah, it's interesting because you're after going into your second business, knowing what you know from your first business. What age are you now? How long ago was?
30 now.
Okay,
well,
right.
it's 29, 30 in a couple of months. So I'm just saying,
make yourself older.
yeah.
But obviously going into the second business with the knowledge of what happened in the first business, how much more comfortable do you feel now as a founder to be able to go, I'm not making any of those mistakes again, and I'm going to plow on with the second business?
I feel much better. Obviously, it was. The reason the second company took off as it did was because of everything I learned in the first one.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. It was just look at the mistakes, look at the lessons, and just make sure it doesn't happen again. And then you find new pain points and new challenges. And
there's people watching the show that and it's going to happen because we have a lot of viewers watching each episode that they failed and had to have meetings with investors. And I know there's people watching the show that had to have those awkward about just saying the money's gone and I have to close down. And what was that like, and how did you handle that? Because they reinvested. So I think that's really interesting, the fact that they
wanted their money back some way.
It was a long period before I went back to them.
Okay.
So I wanted to do good by the fact that they believed in me in the first place. But I suppose what happened was I went to them straight away and I was like, guys, this isn't going to work. And at that point in time, I came up with kind of another idea.
Yeah. Too soon to say it to them.
It was kind of too soon, but they took it well.
Yeah.
To be honest, they were quite supportive.
Okay.
And then it.
And had they lent or invested the 150,000?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And there was no but like before it got to that stage, like I went through the wars. I did everything I could. I was borrowing money off my folks, friends, family, just trying to keep the thing alive.
Well, you did what you did, because like most people will raise money, right? And they got it quite easily. Like, and you hear Gary Vee saying it all the time. Some people were kind of like, listen, I lost your money, but I learned a lot. And they were kind of like, I don't care what you learned. Like, I want my money back. You know, so it's good what you've done there. I said you went back and, you know, you tried to do things, as in you borrowed money off your parents. You worked for, you weren't taking wages and things like that. But it's mad that you actually went back and raised money again off these guys.
That's really cool.
Yeah, but I had a bit of a master plan. So it was, I had an idea for the second company, and one of my number one rules was we're generating money from day one. Right. And that was rule number one for me. It was like, we're generating money from day number one. Rule number two was...
And did you?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Number two was, we need to track all our data. Right. So we need to track our sales cadence, we need to track our adoption, our churn rates. So let's build this up over time. And then we bootstrapped that to the stage of we were at like 16k, and it wasn't SaaS, it was services at this stage, and the majority kind of is today. And
16k.
It got to 16k MRR,
Right.
And then I went back.
Oh, nice.
And what I said was, how I did it was, we lost money last time, so obviously because of that, I'm happy to cut you guys in on this one at a discount of what you had in the last one, because obviously we're in a much better position. Okay.
Are these Irish investors?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, Irish investors, with the caveat of you have to invest in this company.
Okay, so.
It works. It's good.
One bit of advice then for anyone watching that is either considering raising money or is going through the same sort of struggle you went through. Any advice you could give them on how to avoid things like that?
Failing or?
Well, whatever. Maybe like when it comes to like the money you raise, you're running out of money, because we hear it all the time that you need to raise money when you don't need money. right? Because if you're going to raise money when you need money,
you're
it's too late, right? So, like where you said, like with the 150,000 that you raised, that was a 12-month window. So, did you try to raise money 6 months in, or did you just run out of money and you didn't go for a second round of funding?
No, we tried to raise money.
Okay.
So
okay.
what actually happened was the final nail in the coffin was we were doing the SCIS scheme over in the UK, which is a great scheme for anybody who wants it. And we didn't go to an evergreen fund, so there's a difference with SCIS over there. You have funds that will need to do for the end of tax year for the private individuals, and then others that will just constantly do on the file at the end of that year. Our fund wasn't evergreen, so I'll never forget the date. I'm pretty sure it was the 4th of April. And we weren't HMRC approved.
Okay.
So we had our DD done, we had signed off to 250k, and our letter for approval to open up our branch in the UK to become eligible arrived the day after. So I actually cried when it happened. It was awful.
So what advice are you giving?
Make sure you're eligible before.
Like if you're not generating revenue at that stage as a company, what I'd say is keep trying to raise. Like honestly, because you're going to get to a stage when you're going to realize, shit, we need to raise. And then it's going to be too late.
Enjoyed the video? Like to see more? Subscribe below.